Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joe's Gunpla Garage, and today on the channel we're going to be doing something that we've never done before. We're going to be talking about new kits and new releases. Bandai just unveiled what they're going to be releasing for Q3 of 2025, so I figured now would be a good time to do a little bit of Gundam news and talk about these new releases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the announcement for each of these kits and accessories. I'll put a slideshow of the designs on the screen here, and I'll give you my brief thoughts about them as we take a look at all of these new releases. So without further ado, let's get into the Q3 releases for Gunpla. Starting off, we have a new kit from Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuuX. This is the Zaku Police version. Now, taking a first glance at this Zaku, we can see that it has a very similar colorway to the Camphor, and I like that a lot. It kind of has that retro feel to it with this darkish navy blue and the white accent colors throughout the design. And the thing I really kind of don't like about this design, just taking a quick look at it, is just the way the thrusters on the thigh look. It looks like it's a little too chonky there in the thighs for my taste, but the rest of the design I do like quite a bit. I love the blues. I love its kind of weird little police sirens that it has on its shoulder armor. I think that looks really cool. But yeah, those big ball thrusters on the thighs are just going to take a lot to get used to. Taking a look at image 2 on the back here, we can see the utility behind these ball thrusters, which already sells me on these ball thrusters that are in the thigh. I do like having utility behind the design itself. So seeing all these thrusters from behind really sells that to me. It looks like it's got some decent armor up front, but a lot of thrust in the back, and I like that a lot. Taking a look at image 3, we kind of have this walking forward pose with the weapon drawn, and I think it looks really menacing in this photo. It looks like the Zaku really means business, and in a pose similar to this one where it's head on, it's walking forward, it's got the gun drawn, the ball thrusters on the thighs look a lot less goofy. So the whole design of the Zaku definitely looks a lot better the more I look at this. For image 4, we have this type of flying or falling type of pose. And we can see that there's a ton of really nice detail on the bottom of the foot, as well as on the interior pieces of the thigh with all this sort of truss framing on the inner thigh there. And all around, it's a much less busy design versus the GquuuuuuuX itself. So I think for some of those Gundam fans that were on the fence with the GquuuuuuuX design, I think this design is going to be a little easier to stomach over the GquuuuuuuX itself. And then the last image is just the accessories. So we have this machine gun that's pretty stubby, sort of looks like a SBR, a short-barreled rifle. And then we have the Heat Hawk, which is a bit different from the GquuuuuuuX Heat Hawk. And it looks like we have two closed fist hands, left and right, and then one open hand for the left hand. Not a bad looking Zaku, and like I said, it's a design I think a lot of classic Gundam fans are going to be able to handle a lot better over the GquuuuuuuX or some of the other designs we're going to look at in this video. The Zaku Police type launches in April of 2025 for 2,200 yen, so about 20 bucks or so US dollars. The next announcement we're going to look at is the Red Gundam, the high-grade 1144 GquuuuuuuX Red Gundam. Massive spoilers for GquuuuuuuX The Beginning, or the first couple of episodes. So I'm warning you right now, spoilers. In the first episode, Char steals the original RX-78-2, which has been redesigned in this type of weird Gundam Evangelion amalgamation, and then it gets repainted in this type of red coloring, hence the name Red Gundam. It also has these giant funnels on it. There's supposed to be 5, but on this kit we only have 2. And these are the same type of funnels that we saw with the Elmeth from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. So Char is pretty early on in this iteration of Universal Century, this alternate UC. He's already using his new type powers, his more advanced new type abilities. But taking a quick look at the Red Gundam, I actually don't mind this design in high-grade form compared to the metal robot spirits that's coming out and the actual line art and how it actually looks on screen. The proportions of this high grade here are a little bit wider. They're not super accurate. They're not screen accurate. It's much more slender in the line art and on screen. So I actually prefer this wider look of the Red Gundam. I think it gives it kind of more of that girth and more of that menacing look that a Gundam kind of needs. I think it looks a little bit too skinny in its official line art and in the series itself. So while this isn't one-to-one accurate to the line art and the screen art, I do like this iteration better. Similar to the GQuuuuuuX, it's a very busy design. I think it's going to be very polarizing for a lot of people, especially because this is supposed to be the original RX-78-2. Just in this version, Char's mission was successful and he stole the Gundam. Hence why we have Red Gundam here. So in this first image, we get a nice look at the actual design. We can see it's pretty panel line heavy down here on the shins as well as the inner thighs as well. And then we have these two massive funnels with a lot of different colors. Now, taking a quick look at the front of this Gundam in image 1, we can see that there's a lot of panel lines here, both on the shins and the calves, as well as the inner thighs themselves. And we have a lot of separate colors here. So we have a more pinkish red, a more standard red type of color, and then we have a black in the mix there as well. Coming up to the funnels, they're extremely busy. I don't know which way to take this. I'm feeling like it's probably going to be more of a sticker hell. Like, I feel like either all these yellows or all these grays are going to be stickers, or the yellows and grays could be a sticker in themselves. I think a lot of these GQuuuuuuX kits are going to be very sticker heavy or need a ton of paint correction like we already saw with the high-grade GQuuuuuuX itself, just because there's all these little finite colors and details throughout the kits and the designs themselves that it's just going to be hard to print that in a kit if it's not like a real grade where everything's color separated and the price is like $40. So I think there's going to be a lot of paint involved with probably this entire line of model kits, especially for those finite details. It's probably fine out of the box, but if you wanted something color accurate, you're gonna need to get out your brushes and your paints. Looking at image 2, we can see there's a lot more yellow on this kit. So around the cuffs for the arms and the hands, as well as the striping on the back of the shield, none of that is going to be color accurate out of the box. All of that's going to need paint. I would almost bet my life on it. Same thing with the orange that's on the thruster bells in the back there. Taking a closer look at the funnels, we can see some texturing in there in the yellow portion of the funnels for all those micro thrusters around the whole circumference of the funnel. So I'm willing to bet that it's going to be gray plastic for the inside of the funnel and then pink plastic around it, and then we're probably going to have to paint all those yellow thrusters on the actual funnel itself. That's just my prediction anyways. So looking at the forearm and down at the top of the calf near the knee, we have this type of little peg piece that's where some of the funnels can connect to, and there's this little green sensor on it. I bet you that's going to need paint as well. So like I said before, I think all these little tiny colors are going to need paint. I doubt they're going to give us a full sheet of stickers for everything that needs color correction on these kits. On image 3, we get a nice action pose with the Gundam launching forward with the two funnels in flight. Looks pretty good here. Looks like it's got some nice posability. I would expect nothing less from Bandai. And on image 4, we have another action pose with it sort of jumping in the air, getting ready to attack with the beam saber. And we can see a very nice leg compression here. This knee bend, it's basically touching the thigh. That looks absolutely fantastic, that double 90-degree bend there. And with this image, we basically just get a closer look at the detail on the legs. Taking a look at the side profile, we can see a lot of that Evangelion kind of slender design here. So that's totally subjective and up to you. It's not my favorite way that I would like a Gundam designed, but if you like it, you know, that's cool. I love that for you. I do think this is going to be very polarizing for a lot of people. I think people really do like the original chonky look of the Gundam. So I think this is going to be a tough sell for some people. The Red Gundam definitely looks a lot better in this red colorway over the original RX-78-2 colors. I'll say that. I'm pretty confident saying that. I like this better than that version. The last photo here for the Red Gundam, we see the accessories. So we have 2 funnels, the beam rifle, 1 open hand, the connecting pegs. I believe these 6 little pegs down here are the connecting pegs for the funnels. We have the shield here in the bottom left, the 2 beam sabers in a very bright orange color with some caution type of chevrons there in the center, which I'm sure is going to need paint. And then we have a Gundam hammer. So it's interesting that the Gundam hammer is making a return, this big ball on a chain. The price for this is 2750 yen, and it's going to release in May of 2025. The next announcement that we have here are some Action Base 7 with Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuX character designs on them. So we have a character stand for Char Aznable, 1 for Shuji, 1 for Machu, and 1 for Nyann. It's an Action Base 7, so one of my newer favorite stands. I do like the AB7 quite a bit, but there's not a heck of a lot here. It's just an AB7 with the character designs on it. So if this is your cup of tea, then great. But we're gonna move on to something a little more interesting. The GQuuuuuuX Action Base 7 character stands release in May of 2025 for 1540 yen. And I assume that's going to be each, probably not the whole set of 4. The next announcement is a figure rise standard Machu. So it's just a figure of Machu, the new protagonist from Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuX. I haven't built any of these figure rise kits. I'm really just here for the Gunpla itself, but it looks like it's going to be a fairly nice kit. We do have some pretty obvious points of articulation right there on the inner portion of the arm where the elbow is. But other than that, it looks all right. Looks like it comes with a Haro accessory with the beanie on. Taking a look at image 2, we see Machu from the back, and she's got this type of bluish accent color in her hair. And we also get a backpack here, so I kind of wonder what material that backpack's made out of. On image 3, we see all the accessories. So we see that she comes with her schoolgirl uniform, as well as the backpack and a myriad of different hands and faces. Also comes with a cell phone. A decent amount of accessories here. On image 4, you see the short sleeve uniform rather than the hoodie. That backpack has to be made of some type of rubber material, that way it can move around and actually fit on the figure itself. And then image 5, we just see the different looks of the different faces, and that the eyes are water slide decals. Image 6, we get a side walking pose, looks decent. And then on image 7, we see her running next to Haro, and it says the skirt adopts a soft material that expands the range of posing. So it's probably going to be similar to the high-grade Revive Zaku, where it's a more rubbery type of material, that way it can move around and it doesn't get in the way of articulation. This releases in June of 2025 for 4,180 yen. Like I said, I'm mostly here for the Gunpla, so let's move on from this. The next announcement comes to us from Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuX, and this is the light cannon. So it's a gun cannon, but light, maybe a light loadout. I don't know, I have not seen the series yet, the beginning movies, so I'm sure there's some more context I haven't seen yet. So taking a look here at image 1, we can see that the legs are basically the same as the Red Gundam. The feet look like they're a bit different, but the thighs and the calf shin area all look the same as Red Gundam. So if you like that slender look, you're probably going to like this one as well. But what I find a little weird is how thick it is in the center. Like, the legs are very slender, and then the mid-torso section itself is very wide. I don't like this design. This one's gonna take a while for me to get used to. It just looks funky. It just looks weird. The arms are also pretty similar, like the shoulder armor and the bicep is similar to Red Gundam. So I think this is primarily mostly just the Gundam parts with a different chest and different head. Moving on to image 2, we can see the back, and the backpack is pretty much the same as Red Gundam as well. It's got this weird kind of core fighter attached to the back of it, but it also has the cannon, which is attached to that backpack core fighter looking thing. It looks like a folded up core fighter, so forgive me for calling it a core fighter. That's just for ease of talking for this video. It also has one beam saber on its left side here. But again, like the Red Gundam, we have all these yellowish orange accents throughout, so that's all going to need to be painted because there's no way they could even make a sticker for that. And we're not spending real grade money here, so it's not going to be parts separated. If it is, I'll eat crow, and I'll gladly eat crow. But if I was a betting man, I'd say that stuff is not going to be color separated. Image 3, we can see it in this sort of readying to fire its cannon type of pose. It looks all right. I can't get over how wide that torso is. It doesn't look right. Of course, that's subjective. You may love this design, you may love this look, but for me, this is a bit of a miss in terms of design for me. And that's okay. It's okay to not like every single design that comes out. Now, image 4, we have this readying for battle pose with the beam saber out. And at this angle, it looks better. It looks a lot better holding this wider stance. It kind of fits that wider body a little bit better, and the angle makes it not look as goofy because we kind of have that like downwards looking angle rather than just straight on to the light cannon itself. The last image that we have to look at here is the accessories, and we can see that we have a sort of newer iteration of the original gun cannon's beam sniper rifle. We have one beam saber here with some more caution chevrons there on the middle of the handle here. And then we have 2 closed fist hands and 2 open fist hands. So at least we're getting slightly more emotive hands with this release. I remember when the Mirasol unit came out with Witch from Mercury and we got one open emotive hand for that. So that was interesting. It would have been nice to get that with the original Ariel rather than in an expansion set. But it seems like we're getting more emotive hands, so that's a big plus in my book. I'm obviously going to get this kit because we're going to review every new kit on the channel here. But in terms of design, this is probably on the lower of my list. Out of all the things I've seen from GQuuuuuuX, it's this and the Gundam in the RX-78 colors. I'm just not a big fan of. This is going to release in July of 2025, and it's going to be sold for 2,200 yen. The next announcement we only have one image for, and that is Gundam Decal 139 Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuX multi-use decals. And this image here, we just have the Gundam GquuuuuuX itself. So I don't know what this decal is going to be. I assume it's going to be caution type of decals, probably with the Pomeranians type of icon there. And this is probably going to be more protagonist suited decals. Maybe we'll get these red chevrons. The point is a little moot because I think most of us buy third-party decals anyways. But if you were wanting to do a competition build, then you would probably want to pick these up. But it's just a decal set for GQuuuuuX Gundams. This comes out in September of 2025 for 550 yen. The next announcement, same thing, one image. It is Gundam Decal number 140, and this is Gundam GquuuuuuX multi-use decal set. The one image we have here is the Xeon icon on the front of the shield of the Red Gundam. I assume that means this is going to be more Xeon-based decals over the previous decal sheet, so this is going to be more antagonist-type decals. Same thing, this releases in September of 2025 for 550 yen. The next release is another figurized standard. This time it's for Nyann from Mobile Suit Gundam GquuuuuuX, and it's just another type of high school girl looking figure. There's only 3 images for this one, so we get a front profile. It looks like in the hair here, this type of purple streak is going to be color separated. If you take a look at the image, you can see that there's sort of a gap there between the purple and the black. So that would be cool if that's color separated, but I also think a decal could have very easily fulfilled that need as well. Image 2 is nothing crazy, just the backside of the figure. And then image 3 is all the accessories, so we get some more emotive faces, some hand accessories, another phone accessory, some sunglasses, and a backpack for deli meats. Interesting. This releases in July of 2025 for 4,180 yen. Now, hopefully we can get into some mobile suits here. The next announcement is a binder gun option set for Gunpla. Taking a look here, it just looks like some hyakushiki type of wing binders and some joints that you can use. These joints are probably going to be very helpful for kit bashes and things such as that. So if you wanted to take an old kit and add a double jointed knee, you could probably do that with this set. And we can see all those joints down there at the bottom. We also have some different type of ball joints here to the right. So it looks like it's going to be pretty decent bang for your buck here if you're kind of looking for some more joints or things to work with your Gunpla to do some more customs. The wing binders themselves, they look a little boring to me. I don't see a lot of utility for these, and anytime I go to somewhere retail, the builder parts are always kind of hanging out. I never see these move, so I think if people are going to buy this, they'll buy it for the joints, but who knows, maybe some people out there actually do like the look of these wing binders here, but I just don't see a heck of a lot of utility behind them, and that's just a me thing. So these wing binders release in July of 2025 for 660 yen. So it's at least nicely priced, and it looks like you get a decent amount of joints. The next release we have to look at, and I think the rest of them are going to be exciting, we have the MGSD aerial. Taking a look at the front of the aerial on image 1, we can see it looks absolutely fantastic in this MGSD design. We can see that there's a ton of really nice surface detail here, like especially on the shoulders and down on the shins themselves. And there's all these little panel lines throughout, and I think it looks really, really nice here. On image 2, we get a good look of the back, and we can see that the shield is fully complete. There's no gaps on the back of the shield, so it's got some nice venting there at the top of the shield, where before it was a hollow part on the high grade. So that looks really, really nice. I like that a lot. And again, we see some nice surface detailing throughout the legs and on the back of the shoulder. They even panel lined the back of the V-fin in the images here. It looks really, really nice. On image 3, we get a nice look of the inner frame here. And if this MGSD is like the other MGSDs, then it's going to be highly articulate, and we're going to get a lot of utility here throughout this inner frame. And it's a very nice, well-detailed inner frame despite its more stubby and smaller design. This is a line I've been very excited about because they've all been fantastic kits. Taking a look at the yellow on this inner frame, we can see a lot of really nice surface detail there on that yellow venting on the front. And there's some nice raised ridges there for the permet scores on the upper thighs and in the head itself. We even get a nice little cockpit hatch there and some nice details on the inner chest of the inner frame. So this looks really, really good. In image 4, it shows here that there's swappable parts to go from permet score 1 to 6. So we can swap out the red for the blue for permet score 6. So it's nice that they didn't nickel and dime us on that and make permet score 6 MGSD aerial a premium release. That's really nice. I gotta give them props for that one. And it looks like it's easy to swap. So it looks like all the clear pieces just pop right off. You swap your permet scores, you put those clear pieces back on, and you're all set. So that's really nice. That's a lot of good forward thinking, and I bet you Cosmo is going to come out with a nice LED kit for this kit. I think that's going to probably look fantastic with the lit up permet scores on this MGSD aerial. Looking at this close-up photo, we can see some silver poking through on the shoulder armor that wasn't seen on the inner frame image. So it looks like as you build the shoulder armor inner framing, there's going to be some of that silver piecing throughout. We kind of already saw that with the other MGSDs where there were some silver parts mixed in with the inner frame. So it kind of gives you that little bit of a feel that you're building like a PGU kind of, because the PGU had all those gray parts and then the silver truss framing that goes on before you put the armor on. So it's nice that they're sort of continuing that type of design philosophy by sneaking in these little color separated parts for just the inner frame that poke through the armor and gives it that nice touch of all this added detail. It's a very nice look. I love that they're doing that. On image 5, we can see that the shield can break up and then can be applied onto the aerial for that added maneuverability mode and that added armor mode. On image 6, we can see that the front skirt can open and swing upwards. That way the aerial can do some kneeling poses, which is nice because usually with these type of stubby legs, you wouldn't anticipate this amount of articulation there in the legs. I think this kneeling pose is a little awkward. It's just kind of the angle that they took the image or this 3D render was made at. I think they could have angled this a little better to make it look a little more natural, kind of like what they did with the MGSD Wing Zero. This does look a little awkward with just the way that the aerial is posed, so I hope it doesn't look this awkward in real life. Image 7 is just an advertisement that it can work with an action base, which we already anticipated because kits have been action base compatible for years now. It's also compatible with the action base system for the Witch from Mercury set, so you probably can use the same, like if you already had the bit set for the high grade aerial, it looks like that will be usable here for the MGSD. So you can do a full spread type of weapon gunned bit type of attack pose if you wanted to. Our second to last image here, we see that the eyes are going to have more of that detail within, where the lens is clear, you can see through the lens, and you can see all the detail of the eye cameras themselves, which is a phenomenal little design detail that I love that they're doing with the MGSD line. And we see that return of the little silver detailing poking through right above the eyes, kind of at that V-fin red area on the top of the head. The last image here is just the accessories, so we get 2 beam sabers, the beam rifle, and the shield, as well as the beam bayonet that the beam rifle can use. The MGSD aerial comes out in August of 2025 for 4,290 yen. This is one of my favorites of this announcement so far. I really like the MGSD line, and I think this is going to be a great addition to that line. The next announcement is a regular high-grade Universal Century. It is the Gallus J from Mobile Suit Double Zeta Gundam. I've been waiting for the Gallus J for quite a while. Double Zeta is one of my favorite series, believe it or not, and I really like the design of all the Zeon suits from Double Zeta, so it's nice to see some more from Double Zeta come out, especially the Gallus J, because we already had the Shuzurum Gallus from Unicorn, but not a regular Gallus J since way back when Double Zeta first came out, so very, very old. Taking a look at the first image, we can see that it's made of these different types of greens. So we got this darker green and then sort of an olive drab green. It's a very nice colorway here on this Gallus. We also have this weird type of royal purple for the venting here. And if this is anything like the Bolanoke Salmon, then this will probably be color accurate with those purple pieces, or at least I hope so, because mixing that color might be a little difficult. We can see that the surface detail here is a little plain, but we do have all these nice ridges here. Like we have this ridge where the calf meets the front of the shin armor, and then that lower armor flap right above the foot. So while it seems a little plain in details, it does have a nice geometry to it that it still has a very interesting design. The most surface detail I see here is, it looks like we got a couple of panel lines on the forearm itself, and then some hatches and small lines on the actual chest itself. But for the most part, like the shoulder armor and the leg armor is pretty light when it comes to panel lines and surface details. Moving on to the back here, we see a lot more of these purple pieces, and we see it's quite substantial, so that leads me to believe that this is going to be color accurate for all those purple pieces. Maybe not the red thruster within the purple, but up there at the top of the shoulders, we can see these large purplish type of boosters. So that's more than likely going to be color separated. So I'm happy about that. We see this big skirt here, both on the side and the back. So I wonder how articulate they're going to make this side skirt. That's kind of the one thing about Double Zeta designs. And we saw this with the Zaku 3, is that the designs are so bulky and there's so much armor plating around the midsection that it's very hard for them to articulate really well and really emotively. So I kind of hope there's a nice joint on that side skirt there. That way we can get some nice movement out of this Gallus J. We do have some nice detail on the rear of the thrusters there. We have some hatches and some raised panelings there. And then we have this sort of like swoop on the back of the side armor. That looks pretty nice, pretty interesting. It looks like it's built into the armor, kind of sweeps upwards and then off the armor itself. It looks really nice. I'm just so happy that we're getting another Double Zeta kit. I'm really happy about this. The third image, we have some accessories here. So we have the weird gun that it uses. I don't want to call it a machine gun because it looks like it's just rockets. Looks like we have some rockets in the lower left section that is going to be for like a a hatch gimmick, if you will. Sort of like you take the closed hatch off and place these on so you can have the rocket hatch. And it looks like we got some type of arm extensions. The beam saber on photo 3 looks awful. That you can clearly tell that's a render. That doesn't look great. The rest of the pieces and parts look fine, but that one beam saber does not pass the goofy test. And then image 4, we get this nice stylized photo of the Gallus J, and it looks like it's going to have some nice articulation on the legs. Now, again, this is just a render, but it's sort of a proof of concept, like, hey, this is what it's going to be as a final product. And it looks like we have some really nice detail on the tubing there in the knee section. This looks like it's going to be a pretty fun kit. I'm pretty hyped for the Gallus J, quite a bit. I really want to finish out the Double Zeta collection, so the more Double Zeta kits we get, the happier I'll be. The Gallus J releases in August of 2025 for 2,750 yen. Probably the biggest announcement of the night, other than the MGSD aerial, we have the real grade Wing Zero Gundam from Gundam Wing. So now this is going to close off every iteration of the Wing Gundam in real grade form, because we have real grade Wing Gundam TV version, we have the Endless Waltz version, we have Wing Zero Custom, and now we have regular Wing Zero, sort of TV-ish. Taking a look here at the front of the Wing Zero, it looks like a nice blend of the TV version with the Endless Waltz manga version, Wing Proto Zero as they call it there. And it's weird because I'm used to seeing this design so chunky in United States media and in the line art, so seeing it with this type of more slender leg design is a little bit of tonal whiplash for me, because it's just a design I'm so used to seeing. Like, the legs are so thick on the high grades, so to see them this skinny it's a little weird, if that makes sense. Not bad, it's just like, whoa, kind of thing, you know? It's a glow up, if you will. And it looks like we have some really nice coloring here, so there's a lot of gray and white separation on the legs. We can see that in the upper thigh, the top of the knee, and on the front skirt armor, so the front skirt armor has some gray. And even on the wing binders, we've got some nice gray there in the center of the wing binder itself. The sculpt on the face here looks really, really fierce. This looks like it's going to be a really, really nice kit, and the Wing TV version was fantastic, so I have no worries about this one. This is more than likely going to be another fantastic kit as well. On the back of the kit, we can see that the wing binder opens up, and we have some very nice truss framing on the inside of the wing binder itself. So we got those separate pieces, so we got a sort of inner frame there for the wing binder where the armor is going to plug onto. That looks really, really nice. We also have a decently detailed shield on the backside there as well. And we have some wonderful panel lines throughout the whole kit, especially on these wing binders, all the interior pieces of the wing binders, and surface detail on the armor, say on the back of the legs there and the back of the waist armor. It also looks like we have a little bit of an inner frame on the side skirts there, so we have some gray color separation that the red coloring goes onto for the side skirts. This looks like a really nice and really well detailed Wing Zero. Image number 3 is its transformation into Neo Bird mode, so I'm gonna have to buy 2 of these, one to keep in mobile suit mode and one to keep in Neo Bird mode. This stays true to the original transformation of Neo Bird mode, where the wing binders open up and the buster rifles kind of plug onto the shoulders. Image number 4 is an action pose type rendering firing the double buster rifle. It looks really, really nice and really, really powerful here, aiming the rifle with the wing binders open. And we see a lot of that nice surface detail on the upper thigh, as well as on the chest and the side skirt armor there as well. Image number 5, we have the iconic look of the Wing Zero ready to take down a colony that's crashing towards Earth. And again, it just looks phenomenal in this pose and in this image. I'm super hyped for this. This looks fantastic. And a lot of United States Gundam fans are gonna be over the moon with this announcement. Image number 6 is the accessory. So we have the buster rifle, the twin buster rifle. We have the shield, which looks a little shrunk. I don't know, I feel like that should be just a smidge longer, but these are just CG renders. You know, it's not in hand. I'm sure it's going to look a lot better in hand, but it looks a tad bit stubby here in this photo. We have 2 beam sabers, which I'm confident they're going to put with the gimmick of it being in the shoulder armor. And with it being real grade and highly articulate, there's no doubt in my mind that it should be able to reach up and reach into the shoulder armor if you wanted to do like a readying for battle pose where he's pulling the beam saber out of the shoulder armor itself. Down at the bottom, it looks like we have 2 shooting hands, 2 fist hands, and 1 open hand. So a little less count of hands than we're used to seeing with real grade. Usually with newer real grades, we're used to seeing like an open emotive type of hand on both sides, but interesting enough, it only looks like there's 1 here. And then the last image is just a nice promotional image of the Wing Zero in action, as well as transformed into Neo Bird mode. The real grade Wing Zero Gundam releases in September of 2025 for 4,620 yen. The second to last announcement for the night, at least here on the Bandai hobby site, is Gundam Decal 141 Gundam Seed Freedom. It's a little late because all these kits are a year old. I kind of wish these came out last year, although I wouldn't use them anyways. Looks like it's got a compass logo and some marking decals for both the Immortal Justice and Rising Freedom. Nothing crazy to write home about. A day late and $1 short kind of thing. They come out in September of 2025 for 550 yen. At least the GQuuuuuuX ones are coming out in the same year as Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuuX and the line to support that new series. The last announcement for the night is Gundam Decal 142 Seed Freedom multi-use decals, so same as 141, just more multi-use decals, so some generic caution ones as well as some Mobile Suit specific decals. This one here has some decals for the Proud Defender and the Infinite Justice Gundam Type 2 with the Volantes X-Wing backpack. Again, like Gundam Decal 141, it's a little late seeing as that movie and all those kits came out last year. Kind of would have made more sense to release this last year, but that's what we got Delpy and G rework for. So thanks, but no thanks, I guess. Anyways, it releases September of 2025 for 550 yen. And that is everything covered on the new hobby info for Q3 of Gunpla. I didn't cover 30-minute fantasy or 30-minute missions, as that's not really my cup of tea. I'm really just kind of more of a Gunpla guy, so that's why I'm covering just primarily Gunpla here. Out of all these releases, what I'm most excited for is the real grade Wing Zero, with MGSD Ariel as a close second, and the Gallus J as number 3, directly behind MGSD Ariel. I think the GQuuuuuuX Zaku looks cool, and I think the Red Gundam looks very nice in high grade form. Out of all the model kits shown here, the light cannon is the one I'm least excited for, just because I don't like that design. Maybe he'll grow on me, but I really don't think it will. But everything else is pretty exciting and looks very nice to me. I'm not a figure Rise collector, so I'm pretty impartial to those, and I don't typically use Bandai decals, especially not the multi-use ones. So unless there's a very specific logo on those that we don't see with Delpy or G rework, I'm probably going to pass on those as well. And in fact, a lot of stores, or at least around me, a lot of the hobby stores and model stores around me, they stopped carrying Gundam decal altogether. So I'm sure that's going to be an online order for me, and if I'm ordering online, I'd rather just go to Delpy or G rework and get a full set of decals for that kit that I'm working on. It's just much easier than piecing together a custom scheme. So that's going to do it for this Gundam news video. I hope you enjoyed this little peek into the future of what we're expecting for Gunpla in 2025. If you like these news videos, let me know in the comments below. It will probably stay in this type of talking head format where I show a slideshow of the kits on screen, just to keep it easy, right? Hope you found my analysis at least a little interesting. Sorry if I was a little harsh about the light cannon, but I'm not going to sugarcoat something. If I don't like it, I'll say it constructively and just be like, it's not for me, and we'll move on. But if that's the worst I have to say about these announcements, then so be it. I know a lot of people are going to be super bummed that there was no actual master grade announcement here. Hoping we don't just get the Vidar this year. I don't know, it's not looking good. Maybe we'll have something for Q4. who's to say? We really don't know what Bandai's cooking. We can only speculate because we're not on the inside there, right? None of us work at Bandai, so we don't really know. I got a tinfoil hat theory myself, so I could share that if you wanted to, but that's a different topic for a different video. I want to give a huge shout out to all my subscribers for all the likes and the comments. You guys are amazing and you keep this channel going. Really excited for the future of this channel, and I hope you are too as we come together and build a awesome community of Gunpla builders. So until the next video, stay safe, have fun, and happy building.